what kind of a dog, a sheepdog it is. Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. Today I will go to Armenia. My friend Alena, who is filming now, and I were going to go to Armenia by a train, but it is impossible to buy tickets on the website of the Armenian railways. So I was like, let's go by the marshrutka, but at the same time I didn't know where to buy marshrutka tickets. So I asked a friend of a friend, and they recommended us this driver. Alena, can you share the purpose of us going to Armenia?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that normally I would be scared of this amount of dogs, especially the big ones and the angry ones. But they're Georgian dogs, so they're not scary. And the purpose of our visit to Armenia is, well, mostly for my visa run, because I've been in Georgia for almost a year. Can you believe that? Hello, dog. And yeah, why not to visit Yerevan, which is the capital of Armenia? Why not to drink coffee here? And this is the second reason why I want to go there.
So let's start our journey. So finally we arrived in Yerevan. What's your impressions?
Considering the fact that other options were train, that is 2 times longer, or the plane, that is
40 minutes, but just scary.
but gives me anxiety, so it's not an option. Well, 6 hours of Armenian music wasn't so fun because I don't understand a word, but it gives me culture.
What about the road itself? Was it scary?
It's different. Like, there are parts of it that are mountain roads that I would call, so that was fun. It wasn't fun. And there were parts of it that were just highways, so it was fine.
The only thing I didn't like was when the driver was taking over other cars. He was doing it so fastly, and I was scared.
It was somewhat uncomfortable just to sit straight in a chair for 6 hours or so. Probably the best option we could find.
Armenian cat. We know only Georgian cats so far.
It's a boy.
Armenia is a country in the South Caucasus region in Western Asia. It's quite a distance from where I am originally from in Russia, but here is a fun fact. Armenia was one of the first foreign countries I ever learned about. When I was growing up in Spassk, in my hometown, in my district there were many Armenians. So in front of our house there was a house of an Armenian family, and to the other side of our house. So I'm used to hearing Armenian speech since my childhood, and of course I knew that there are countries like America, England. This is how I thought they are officially called. It was the first foreign country that I learned about, and now I'm finally here. So even in the far east of Russia, there's a significant number of Armenians. Interestingly, the Armenian diaspora is much larger than Armenia's own population. Worldwide, there are approximately 11 million Armenians, while only about 3 million live in the country itself. Armenians have had communities in various parts of the world since ancient times, but the modern Armenian diaspora was primarily shaped by the events of World War I and the genocide committed by the Ottoman Empire. Another wave of emigration occurred during the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Now we are in the Republic Square in the city center, and after Tbilisi, I'm not used to such large spaces. So what first comes to my mind is comparison with Khabarovsk, Russia, where I lived. So in Khabarovsk we also have such a large square with fountains, with administrative buildings. So compared to Khabarovsk, it seems that this is like the building of the Khabarovsk Krai administration, that is the university where my friend studies. It is interesting to imagine for a second that now I'm in Khabarovsk. And when I do that,
I immediately feel less stressed. It seems to me that I'm in this familiar place, I know everything here. So yeah, it is a life hack if you feel alien in this area. But anyway, I want to show you this beautiful building. Again, it's made with the tough stone and with different varieties of pink color. Very beautiful. And now we are going to the underground. I see gay agenda here. This American gay propaganda, oh no. So in Tbilisi you can pay with Apple Pay, but here you have to buy these tickets and you can only pay with cash here. This is how the station looks. It looks fancier than in Tbilisi. That first station reminded me of course, stations in Moscow and also in Uzbekistan, because I like how now I have a collection of visited metro systems in different countries. So Russia, Uzbekistan, Georgia, and now Armenia, the fourth one. So that first station was beautiful with chandeliers and stuff, but here it's more modest. It has some spots on the wall. And the difference from Tbilisi is that this metro is less developed. It has fewer lines, just one line. It has fewer stations, and yeah, this is my Armenian underground experience.
And here's what the Republic Square station looks from above. Then we went to the Armenian market, also known as GUM. This building reminded me of the market that I visited in Uzbekistan in Samarkand. After all, they were built under the USSR. It's fascinating how empires from the past expanded and spread their cultures to entirely different regions. Long before the USSR, both Uzbekistan and Armenia were part of the Persian Empire. In Samarkand, I visited Registan, and here, in the heart of Yerevan, there is a blue mosque, which dates back to the 18th century, when the city was under the Iranian influence. In the 90s, it was restored with the help of the Iranian government. There is a working mosque and a quiet garden. Souvenirs are sold in one of the buildings, and I was surprised to see the pumpkins that were there in anticipation of Halloween.
Cashing out the money. The new kind of banknotes for me.
So, Russians eating Chinese food in Armenia coming from Tbilisi. Globalization. Of course, I have no idea what they're talking about, but it's still interesting to see what channels and programs this country has. The alphabet and sounds of the Armenian language might remind you of Georgian, but the difference is that Armenian is part of the Indo-European language family, and although distantly, it shares connections with other languages of this family. Georgian, however, stands alone, forming its own language family without any links to others. Another thing is that in the Georgian alphabet there is no distinction between uppercase and lowercase letters, while the Armenian alphabet does have such a division. Personally, I find the Georgian letters more visually appealing. How about you?
Прикол. This is apparently a Russian fairy tale about the Ryaba chicken, but it's in Armenian. And this is a Red Riding Hood.
In the bookstore, I was surprised to see so many books in Russian, because in all such stores I visited in Tbilisi, there might be a section of Russian literature, but there are far more Georgian books in comparison. In general, here in Armenia, I saw more connections to Russian culture than in Georgia. This guy was singing in Russian in the center of Yerevan, and nowadays I cannot imagine this in Tbilisi.
This is Noise MC, a famous Russian rapper who denounced the war and he moved out of Russia. This is Lia Ahijakova, also a Russian actress who denounced the war. As far as I know, she lives in Russia, but apparently she also performs here and it's great. This is a famous Russian rapper, Goof, and I'm so used to his name spelled in these letters, but here it is also spelled in Armenian letters, and it was so funny. Not because letters are funny, but because how unexpected it was. I just spotted this air balloon and I knew that yesterday there was a festival of such balloons, but we were not able to make to it. But here we see at least one.
I ordered omelette with tomato and it looks like pate. I never saw it like this. And bumble coffee with orange juice. I like to check out local specialty coffees, and this place was one of them. I took this omelette, although I didn't like it because of the tomato juice. There was too much water. Well, it sounds that I'm like this picky soy coffee lover, but yeah. I love such places, and also I assumed by their appearance that many people there were Russians and they were sitting on their laptops working. And it's interesting that walking in Yerevan, I imagined what if I moved from Russia to Armenia, not to Georgia. So I kind of put on this Armenian life on myself. It's just interesting to compare this place with Tbilisi.
I enjoyed it. Coffee was good. Bumble existed in the menu, which is always a good sign. I also kind of liked and kind of hated the fact that everyone spoke Russian, and in general here just everyone speaks Russian.
And why do you hate it? Because it should be comfortable for you.
I don't know. It is convenient. I don't have to use any of my brain capacity to talk to people, but at the same time, I kind of like the fact that nobody really understands me in Georgia. I really like to use my English skills to order coffee or something and to practice.
Yeah, in that regard, it feels that Georgia is more European. Even the street signs in Georgia are written both in Georgian and in English. Here it's only Armenian or Russian, so it's inconvenient for tourists. And I mean, it feels that Georgia is more democratic. And by that I mean the status of relationship with Russia. So the worse relationships with Russia are, the better the country for me is. I'm sorry. But at the same time, it's interesting to think about the relationships between the countries. Like why, even though Georgia is located closer to Russia, people there, it's a taboo to go to a restaurant in Georgia or to any other place and speak Russian just right away without asking them what language is comfortable for you. In Armenia, it's everywhere they greet you "Здравствуйте" in Russian, and it's interesting that because Georgia is closer to Russia, so the closer the country geographically, probably the better. But no, because the closer the country, the more is a chance that Russia did something bad to this country. So because Armenia doesn't have border with Russia, only through Georgia you can come to Armenia. Cat, Armenian cat. Well, when I talked about relationship with Russia, I meant the attitude of regular Georgian people towards the Russian government. Because if we're speaking about the Georgian government and its connection to Russia, so they are quite connected. But I mean how people treat the Russian government in Georgia, and their attitude is quite hostile, and I can understand that. While here in Yerevan, it feels that you can speak Russian everywhere. That is the big difference from Tbilisi. So we were walking along this street and I couldn't miss this unusual building. It's like
It looks like wooden boards, and I first didn't understand, are these real boards or they're like artificial? I also noticed the pink color everywhere. It's some unusual kind of stone, and almost all buildings here are made with it. Dogs here are chipped the same way as in Georgia. But at first we were surprised that there are less stray dogs here than in Tbilisi. What's going on? When we first walked in the center of Yerevan, I was surprised how wide the streets are, because I tend to compare it with Tbilisi and I see that it is different. It looks like Khabarovsk in Russia, also wide streets, a lot of trees, and I wondered why, and I found out that actually the city center was planned in the Soviet times to make an idealistic city garden here, and I mean it's quite visible because there are many trees. The city plan, it looks like circles, and in that regard it reminds me of Moscow, because Moscow also consists of circles. And it is so different from the city center in Tbilisi, because in Tbilisi streets, especially in the old town, are narrower and the buildings are located closer to each other.
This place is called the Cascade. If you go up the stairs, you will have a wonderful view of Mount Ararat, which according to legend is where Noah's Ark came to rest. This mountain is a vital national symbol for Armenia, revered as a sacred site. It is featured on the coat of arms along with Noah's Ark, and even the renowned Armenian brandy is named after it. That's why I used to think that Ararat is located on the territory of Armenia, but in reality it is on the territory of Turkey.
We found a map of Yerevan city center. So this is the cascade, and now we are somewhere here close to Moscow Street. Another unusual thing for me is this water fountain. In Georgia they also are present, but in Russia it's not a thing. And I used to think that they are kind of scary, but I see that people drink from here and it is so great. I like this idea that whenever you want to drink water, you can find such a place. But the difference from Georgia is that there you have to push the crane, but here the water flows all the time. And by the way, it doesn't taste like this irony water from tap, like mineral water sold in the stores. Oh my god, I knew that I would find something like this here, and here it is. So this sticker BNE was here. I saw it in Georgia and I knew that I would find something from Georgia. And another interesting thing, this is an ad, but it's in Russian and it says a Japanese language tutor. Come to me to study Japanese, to not wait for the anime translation. I found one more Georgian sticker, fish with legs. I saw it in Tbilisi and now in Yerevan. So unusual to see a Ukrainian flag here, because in Georgia there are more of them. Empty amusement parks, especially at night, look creepy, but I'm here for it. Alena was filming a video in English near the cascades, and a guy approached us and he was like, "Oh, you have such a good English. What's your name?" And as he said, he was from Nigeria, and we made like a small talk, and I immediately felt scared. I have this thing when unfamiliar people approach me on the street, I'm frozen. I had a couple of unpleasant situations in Khabarovsk when, beggars or some guy asked to take my phone to call someone, and there was a possibility that he would run with my phone, but I couldn't say no. And after that, I always blame myself for the fact that I am numb in such situations. So I tried to work out a way how to speak, to have small talks. So with that guy today, we were nice and we talked a bit about Armenia, Georgia. He said that he noticed many Russians in Armenia, in Georgia, but not in Azerbaijan. And he asked why. And I said, well, Azerbaijan is kind of autocracy more than Armenia and Georgia. And he was like, yes, he said that he was constantly stopped by the policeman in Azerbaijan. They asked for his documents.
He also asked like whether we live in Armenia or not, and we said like, yeah, we live in Georgia, and we talked about countries, so it was kind of fine. But then he was like, oh, you're so pretty, like let's go grab a beer, and I'm like, no. I said like, sorry, no, but why would I say sorry? I don't know.
But when we said, no, we have other plans for the evening, he did the wrong thing next. And he said, why? Why not to go to the bar and like relax? I was again like, no, thank you. And then okay, it was nice to talk to you, goodbye. And we wish each other good luck, and that's it. I don't know why I get so triggered. Again, it was unexpected and my personal space was invaded. And it reminded me of some recent situation that happened to me and Alena a couple of days ago. You remember when we went to the gym? A Georgian guy approached Alena, and first we thought that he recognized her from her channel, but he wanted to take her Instagram.
Well, that was weird too. We were already leaving the gym, and he's like, wait, what's your name? And like, are you married or something? And I'm like, well, no, but I get it. Like, there's a tradition to get married at like 16 in post-Soviet countries.
But if you were straight, single, and if you liked that guy, would you give her your Instagram?
I can't imagine being straight. I don't know what this is. I feel like straight people are weird. Don't mean to offend you, but I don't know.
Yeah, and again, why I mentioned that Georgian guy, because when he approached us, I didn't know what to say, and Alena also looked confused, and I thought maybe I should jump in and say she is gay and she has a Georgian girlfriend. Do you think I should have said that to him?
Well, in the world we're living in, saying, well, I'm gay, I'm not interested in you at any way, and I can't be interested in you. Some guys might say, oh, I will turn you straight or something like that, and ew. And I guess it's not an argument for a lot of people, especially if you're not in, oh my god, gay propaganda America. You are in Caucasus country.
So again, by these two stories, I just wanted to tell you how bad I feel when people approach me, because I had experience of stalking. Even before my YouTube channel, there were some crazy stories. Also, that guy who approached us today.
The weirdest thing was probably the fact that he said, well, you're 20, but you look bigger. He said that I look like a woman. Like,
Oh my god.
I don't know what this means. I wouldn't say that it's a good thing to say to people.
He told me I look my age and you look older, so again it was like partially the conversation was okay, but still there were some red flags.
Anyway, after such a busy day, how not to try Armenian food? This is dolma, a dish associated with Ottoman cuisine. It's meat wrapped in grape leaves. And we also took pork kebab.
It's so interesting to see things that I already know because I saw them in Georgia. For example, this churchela, nuts or dried fruits. I recently learned that in Georgia they sell Nutella with the design of Georgian cities, and we wondered if it's the same in Armenia. And yes, here they also designed one for this country, and it even says the location as Svarans. Probably it's like Svarans village. This is for Sivan Lake, and it's spelled in Armenian and Russian. It's so new. Only recently I got used to KFC, McDonald's, and etc. with Georgian letters, and now it's with Armenian. Here you can switch Russian and English. In Georgia, in KFC, it's only English and Georgian. And also I want to show you this interesting map from the KFC birthplace to Yerevan. And why I compare Armenia to Georgia all the time? These two countries for me always stood in a row. Well, Azerbaijan as well, but it feels like something different from these two. So in my ignorant mind, Georgia and Armenia were kind of the same, with these intricate letters, people that maybe look alike, the Christianity. When I was moving to Georgia, I imagined it's like one entity. And trying to understand and imagine what Armenia is like, I just duplicated Georgia in my mind and just changed the letters. It's like Georgia changed by AI. And it's fascinating that such small countries, and they are located close to each other, but still they are different. Because coming from Russia, especially the Far East, where there are big distances, it seems to me that if countries are so close to each other, they're basically the same. And yeah, they have some connections, but still they're different. And especially like centuries ago, when people traveled by horses, this 5 hours by car road from Tbilisi to Yerevan probably seemed far from people. That's why, especially in Georgia, languages were preserved in villages because they were isolated. I mean, that's how I try to explain to myself how these countries managed to keep their identity, their culture, without mixing with each other. But of course, again, there were many wars, occupations by Turkey, Ottoman Empire, Iran, or Persia, Arab countries, and so on. So it's all really interesting, and I'm not that knowledgeable about this region, but I would love to learn more about it. Anyway, I want you to check out this storage of Soviet cars, and also this picture. It looks really ambient, especially with this bicycle. I just love it here.
Once again, I realized how unique the Caucasus region is, both its southern part and the northern part located in Russia. In such a relatively small territory, there live so many peoples with diverse ethnic backgrounds, languages, and cultures.
So, this was my video about Armenia. I'm already back in Tbilisi, and to film conclusion for this video, I purposely came to this district in Tbilisi. It's called Avlabari, and I've been told that Armenian diaspora lives here. So I walked around this district. I wanted to find some maybe Armenian inscriptions, road signs, but no, everything was in Georgian except of this place. It is some Armenian church. It's not that I know how different it is from Georgian churches, but still, there I saw signs in Georgian, Armenian and Russian, and English as well. And what I can say as a conclusion, I felt really comfortable in Yerevan because there I didn't feel that pressure, that tension that I do feel here in Tbilisi. Because here in Tbilisi there are many graffitis that say Russians go home and so on, and I feel that people see by my appearance that I am Russian and that they don't like me being here, while in Yerevan I didn't feel that. It feels to me that everybody hates me. I know it's not true, and also it made me to realize that actually a Caucasus country can have a good relationship with Russia, and probably if not for the occupation and the 2008 war, Georgia and Russia relationships also could be like this now. But paradoxically, I still like life in Tbilisi more because it feels that there are more Russian-speaking events. I like to go to English-speaking clubs or board games or some lectures about urban studies. And on Instagram, on Telegram, there are many groups where people make announcement of such events, and almost every day I can find activity like this in Russian in Tbilisi, while in Yerevan it felt that there are fewer activities like this. So once again I proved that I don't regret coming to Georgia, choosing it over Armenia. And yeah, that's it. Write in the comments what is your opinion about Armenia. If you have been there, maybe you also went to Georgia and you can compare them. If you are from Armenia, please let me know your opinion in the comments. Was I correct in my assessments, or maybe I said something wrong? It will be interesting to read your comments. So thanks for watching, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and goodbye. Пока-пока.